after Travis was killed, after you killed Travis?
Yeah, I think that I was just freaked out. Well, I know I was freaked out. I didn't know what to do. I knew that I couldn't just carry on as normal, but I tried to do that. I tried to act that part until, until everything came down on me.
Every love story is not a bed full of roses. Some turn into a horrific nightmare that one can never forget. The story that I'm about to tell you today is enough to send shivers down your spine and also to make you believe that life is not all fairy tale. Jodi Arias, a charismatic young woman in her 20s. She was a gorgeous blonde with a smart personality and witty mind. She was born on July 9, 1980 in Salinas, California. She was the most loved child among her 4 brothers and sisters. Her parents adored her in every possible manner. She loved photography and had taken up this hobby to start a career in it. She left her high school and began her career as a full-time photographer. But certainly, life had other plans for her. Despite her intense passion for photography, she kept on failing and could not make a living out of it. In order to survive, she had to leave photography. Later, she took up a job as a waitress in a nearby restaurant, but her love for photography never ceased. Jodi was 21 years old when she began working as a waitress in a renowned restaurant in California. It was then when she met her very first boyfriend. Daryl Brewer was a 40-year-old man when he started dating Jodi. Things seemed to be pretty casual at first, but as time passed, both of them came into a serious relationship. The relationship was quite odd as Daryl was older than Jodi. Her friends often told her she deserved better, but still, she went on pursuing the relationship anyway. Things were going pretty smooth, and almost a year had passed when Jodi started working at Prepaid Legal Services, along with her job as a waitress. Both Jodi and Daryl had moved into a home together in 2005, so Jodi needed to work 2 jobs in order to keep up with the expenses. This was the time when a young man named Travis Alexander caught Jodi's eye. Daryl and Jodi had major age differences, because of which Jodi was having second thoughts about continuing her relationship with Daryl. She was more prone to cheating and deceiving her boyfriend than anyone else. Her vulnerability spoke volumes, and she found herself attracted to the young man Travis Alexander. Travis Alexander was born on July 28, 1977 in Riverside, California. He was one of the 8 children of his parents, but after his father's untimely death, he was sent to live with his grandparents. Travis was a very religious man and was an avid member of the Mormon Church. He was a motivational speaker alongside a legal insurance salesman at the time he met Jodi. A conference was held in the summer of 2006 in Las Vegas, which was attended by both Jodi and Travis. It was not long until Jodi caught the eye of the young speaker. They both had immense interest in one another, which resulted in Jodi's relationship with Daryl crumbling into ashes.
I watched her mature, and I watched her grow in the workplace, grow as an artist, and it wasn't until the spring of 2006 that this girl started to change, and I watched her change before my very eyes.
Following this attraction between Jodi and Travis, Daryl suffered major consequences as fights began to happen between him and Jodi. He knew for sure that their age difference was a problem, but did not think that it would lead them to a breakup. Few months later, Daryl and Jodi called it quits, and Daryl moved out of their shared home. Later, that home, since it wasn't owned by anybody, it went to the foster funds of the community. By February 2006, Travis and Jodi had already started dating. Due to Travis's faith, he baptized Jodi into his Mormon faith and they both continued to be in a relationship. 5 months later, the couple mysteriously broke up. Travis's friends reported that they were never fond of Jodi as she was very possessive when it came to her boyfriend. She wanted to mark her territory as she was more into Travis than he was into her. Her extreme possessiveness led the couple to a breakup. According to several of Travis's friends, Arias would follow him to the bathroom and wait outside the door, eavesdrop on his conversations, and forward his private emails with other people to herself. And that was just the beginning. Alexander's friend Sky Loving-Ear Hughes told ABC News she started seeing things that were just disturbing. I said, "Travis, I'm afraid we're gonna find you chopped up in her freezer." From very early on, she was completely obsessed with him. Her husband, Chris Hughes, said, on one occasion, Hughes was present when Alexander caught her eavesdropping on him from behind a closed door. There was a rage in her eyes. "Sky and I are very frightened at this point. She might burn down our house, with all of us in it," Hughes said. The shocking thing was that Travis and Jodi kept on having physical relationships even after their breakup. Travis wanted to marry a virgin Mormon girl, whereas he had broken this vow with Jodi. According to him, Jodi was not suitable for marriage anymore, but he did not want to give up on the amazing sexual relations they both had. Meanwhile, Jodi was obsessed with Travis. She had assumed that he was the love of her life. She would stalk him at night. She even moved into the same city as Travis after their breakup. Travis only wanted physical relations, while Jodi wanted him all. The secret relationship continued until in 2007, Travis started dating someone new. This irritated Jodi, and she started sending threatening emails to his new girlfriend. She wanted Travis to be his own. She even burst the tires of Travis' cars twice so he would stop going to see that woman he was dating. Many friends advised Travis to stay away from her, but he never listened. The pair continued to exchange flirty texts and emails and kept on with their physical intimacy for the time being. The summer of 2007 was proceeding when Jodi and Travis had a huge argument. Jodi had tried to break into Travis's Facebook account, which led him to be furious. They both exchanged many hurtful texts, and Travis asked her to stay away from him. This was his final call towards Jodi that everything they had was going to end this time, but Jodi had other plans for him. It was the month of June when the company Travis worked at arranged a trip to Cancun, Mexico. He was allowed to bring one friend on the trip. Instead of choosing Jodi, he chose a woman named Mimi, who he was trying to date at that time. This caught Jodi by surprise, and she was ready to take an action that would end horribly. Meanwhile, Travis and his new friend Mimi were excited about this trip without even knowing what awaited them. On May 28, Arias' grandparents' home was burglarized. One of the items that was stolen was a .25 caliber automatic Colt pistol, which was never recovered. Arias tried to get a hold of Alexander on June 2, but he did not answer. The two eventually spoke for about 18 minutes on one phone call, and on a second one that lasted for 41 minutes. She sat out in the early hours of the morning to drive south to rent a car for a trip to Utah. On June 2, 2007, the very same day Jodi rented a car and drove to Travis's apartment out of the blue. For some reason, she had taken her camera with her. That day, instead of letting her go, Travis invited her into his apartment. She went in and the pair had sex many times. They both took many explicit photos of one another through Jodi's camera. They both enjoyed a good shower and caressed one another many times. Rekindling her love for photography, she took many photos of Travis.
scene that you usually don't have at a crime scene are all these photos that were taken by Travis's digital camera. So what are the pictures telling us? What are these photos telling us? How is Travis standing? Where is Jodi Arias at the time? Let's start with the photo taken at 5:29 and 20 seconds. This is the last photo of Travis alive.
But nobody knew that this would be the last photo of Travis alive. They both shared a good time with one another until Jodi decided to end Travis's life out of pure jealousy and hatred for taking another woman to his trip. She stabbed him 27 times and shot him straight into his head until Travis could not breathe anymore.
A lot of people are talking about this one. As a matter of fact, Lori on our Facebook page says, he doesn't look scared. She probably did drop the camera to get the knife. I don't believe he thought anything was going to happen at this point. Some people are saying in that photo that we're looking at that he looks scared. No. People wanted us to actually see if we could see a reflection in his eyes there, if we could see anything. But no. What do you make of this photo?
No, you know, if you look at all the photos of Travis, he doesn't really have a big grin on his face. This is Travis normal, I would say. No, I don't think he was scared at all. I don't think he knew what was coming.
There was blood everywhere in the shower, as she had stabbed him while he was taking a shower. After committing such a hideous crime, Jodi went on to discard her camera, but unfortunately, she left it in the laundry. The camera had all the evidence and would later be used in the court against Jodi. She also went to her apartment and dyed her hair from blonde to brunette, in hopes that nobody would recognize her. Many days had passed and Travis's friends and co-workers got worried after Travis did not show up for his trip. His soon-to-be girlfriend Mimi went to check up on him, and to her shock, she found Travis dead in his bathroom. His friends immediately dialed 911 and pointed out Arias as a suspect, citing that Alexander had mentioned she would stalk him, hack his Facebook, and had previously slashed his tires. A friend of ours is dead in his bedroom. We hadn't heard from him for a while. A woman identified as Marie Hall said, "We think he's dead. There's lots of blood. His roommate went in and there's blood in his bedroom, behind the door and all over. Then they went in the bathroom and it's all in the shower." When Mesa Police Detective Esteban Flores arrived on the scene, he told 2020 that blood was everywhere. Photographic evidence showed blood spattered on the sink, walls, and floors. Police also found a bloody palm print outside of Alexander's bedroom. They also found DNA linking Arias to the crime scene. She was accused of violently attacking Alexander in a jealous rage after he wanted to end their affair and plan a trip to Mexico with another woman. It was a clear case of homicide. The police started questioning everyone and the main suspect was Jodi. Everybody told the police how she used to constantly stalk Travis out of extreme obsession with him. Meanwhile, Jodi voluntarily went to the police station to give her DNA samples and told the police that she had not seen Travis since April. The police knew it was all a white lie as they had found the camera that had all the evidence of when Jodi met Travis. On June 21, 2008, Travis's funeral was held, and 6 days later, Jodi was arrested. Her lies were uncovered as the DNA samples matched a hair strand and blood that was found beside Travis's dead body. Long hours of interrogation were conducted with Jodi, but she never confessed to murdering her ex-boyfriend. She was resistant, but the jury had all the evidence they needed to prove her guilty.
Nobody else does. I can prove you were there. I can prove it. But what I don't have is I don't have answers on why it happened. Or, you know, maybe something just got out of hand. Maybe things got out of hand.
Did you find the gun? Maybe that would...
Jodi, we're just playing games here. I'm gonna take a little break, but I need you to think about what you're doing here. This is the best thing for you.
She gave many interviews and told the story of how Travis was her best friend and how she loved and respected him. She also denied having seen Alexander on the day that he died.
If Miss Arias is guilty of any crime at all, It is the crime of manslaughter and nothing more.
Then claimed two men had killed him in a home invasion before changing her story again to self-defense.
When he slams you down onto the ground, after you drop the camera, how do you feel?
I was scared. So he's freaking out. I'm freaking out. I rolled, like I said, I rolled off to my left and began to run down the hallway. And I could hear him follow. I could hear his footsteps chasing me.
Were you scared when he was chasing you?
Yeah, I didn't want him to grab me again.
What were you scared that he would do?
Who knows? At that point, he had already almost killed me. I wasn't thinking when he almost killed me before that I was going to possibly die. I was just thinking I couldn't breathe. No air. That's all I could think of before I passed out. But it was later on that I realized that I could have died if he just held on to my neck a little longer. So I didn't want that to happen.
This was just a way of swaying away the attention of the media from the actual topic. Jodi pleaded not guilty after being extracted from California to Arizona. This meant that she was going on a trial. Her story was weak as she kept changing it. One time she said that she had not seen Travis since April, and the next moment she said that she had called him 2 days before his murder. In another account, she tried to portray Travis as an abusive boyfriend and said that she killed him in her defense. All of this did not work. Finally, on May 7, 2013, Jodi was found guilty of first-degree homicide and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Exhibit 193, that Mr. Alexander was stabbed. You would acknowledge that, right?
Yes.
And you would acknowledge that that stabbing was with the knife, right?
Yes.
And according to your version of events, you would acknowledge that that stabbing was after the shooting, according to you, right?
I don't remember.
I'm not asking you if you remember, ma'am. I'm asking if you acknowledge that it would be you that did it, correct?
Yes.
Prosecutors had sought the death penalty, but didn't secure enough juror votes to achieve it.
The court finds the mitigation presented is not sufficiently substantial to call for leniency and that a natural life sentence is appropriate. It is ordered the defendant shall be incarcerated in the Department of Corrections for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
At the time, Arias expressed her preference for execution. Death is the ultimate freedom, she said during a television interview after the verdict. I'd rather just have my freedom as soon as I can get it. This brought justice to the family of Travis, but the void that had been left in their lives was never going to be fulfilled, as Travis was never going to come back again. Such stories make you scared of falling in love, as they seem quite horrible when it comes to their manifestations. But this is the world we live in. For more such stories, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit that bell icon so you will never miss out on our daily updates.